Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome. Here we go, Chapter 4, the second part of Unit 2. Let's get started. So, today we're kind of going to go over a little bit of what consciousness is, what attention is, how multitasking is really something that we're not good at, but some of us might be better than others. And then we'll get into sleep and what that is actually all about. So, here we go. What is consciousness? Consciousness is what I'm aware of, right? Is being aware. So, in this room right now, I'm aware of the light in my face. I'm aware of the video camera that is filming me. I just heard the intro song. I'm aware that I just heard that. I can see that it's a little rainy outside today. I can hear the fans in the room, all that kind of stuff. I'm aware of the things present in this room. I am conscious, okay? So consciousness is really being aware. So consciousness, for our definition, will be personal awareness of mental activities, internal sensations, and the external environment. So I guess also included in consciousness would be the fact that I know that I've had a lot of coffee today. I can feel it, okay? So it allows us to integrate the past, present, and future behavior, guide future actions, maintain a stable sense of self, the ability to plan and execute long-term, complex goals, and communicate with others. Consciousness is what makes us able, right? It allows you to understand that, maybe I want to be here 10 years from now. And so you can be consciously aware of what that goal might be, and you could be completing steps and goals to get there, okay? So focus concentration on your instructor's words or gestures. That's an example. Drifting from one fleeting thought, memory, or image to another. Awareness of physical sensations such as the beginnings of a headache or the lingering sting of a paper cut, which I got on my finger right now. Replaying an emotionally charged conversation and thinking about what you wish you had said. I do that quite often. Romantic or sexual fantasies. Mentally rehearsing what you'll say and how you'll act when you meet a friend later in the day. Wishful, grandiose daydreams about yourself in the future. All of these things are examples of being conscious. So it's being aware. It's being present. It's being able to think and understand sensation coming in. All right, William James, first guy to kind of touch on consciousness. So consciousness then does not appear to itself, chopped up in bits. It is nothing jointed. It flows. A river or a stream are the metaphors by which it is most naturally described. In talking of it hereafter, let us call it the stream of thought or consciousness of subjective life. Remember, we understand subjective reality, not objective reality. And yeah, doesn't it feel like our consciousness isn't jointed? It doesn't stop and start. It flows throughout our time being aware. That's where functionalism, what William James founded, was a little bit more in tune with what's happening today, in behavioralism and biological psychology, because it, we're not accessing different points of the, memory and language and all that kind of stuff. It flows out together, okay? So psychologists rejected the study of consciousness and introspection because of the great shift to behaviorism, focusing on overt behavior. Today, the scientific study of consciousness is incredibly diverse, working from a variety of perspectives, psychologists, and other neuroscientists, because they can actually watch what you're doing. If you're aware of something, a sensation coming in of your body, and you happen to be in a PET scan or whatever it is, and they can track the blood flow of your brain, they can see what is activated in your brain. They can see your consciousness. Okay? So that is part of behaviorism, because they can watch that overt behavior. So, piecing together a picture of consciousness that takes into the account of the role of psychological, physiological, social, and cultural influence. So attention. Attention is a very interesting thing to me. I tend to believe that consciousness is your ability to focus attention, okay? You know, a spotlight, right? My attention can't be, you know, that great whenever it comes to things because, you know, when you focus on something, you know, the outside world becomes a little bit blurry. It's just like real vision. You know, you have a bunch of cones in the back of your retina, and they're all centered together. They're called the fovea. And whenever you look at something, they center, that image is centered on the fovea, and it becomes clear and colorful, and you can understand it. Visual acuity is what it's called. And in this case, it'd be thought acuity, right? So whenever you are focusing or, you know, directing your attention on something, you are taking it in, you know, in a very focused spotlight. So, attention. The capacity to selectively focus awareness on particular stimuli in your external environment or your own internal thoughts. Psychologists have found these characteristics of attention. 1, attention is limited in capacity. At any given moment, we face more information than we can effectively process. This is a problem in our world, right? So, but we usually focus on information relevant to our immediate and long-term goals. Yeah, that's what happens. You know, you can not hear something, and we'll talk about that here in a second. So, attention is selective. Often compared to a spotlight, we focus on certain areas of our experience while ignoring others. The cocktail party effect. So listening to one person at a loud party, you know, you can drown out the other noises, and then all of a sudden, boom, here we are. You know, me and this person are having a legit conversation when it is extremely loud all around us. We can selectively focus our attention on that moment. And then there's something else that could happen, right? A person could say your name from across the room, and you're like, that person just said my name. That is also selective attention, right? You're attuned to hear your name, and you could easily just, boom, there it is, I'll focus on that now. So, and attention can be blind. So given the limited selective structure of attention, we often completely miss what seems to be obvious stimuli in our field of vision or hearing. So there's a couple different things right here. I suggest you click on this video and watch this misdirection video. It's with Apollo from Brain Games. So good. He's a pickpocket. He does a TED talk about how he picks this guy's pocket while he does it. Check it out if you'd like. So misdirection used by magicians, pickpockets, is manipulation of attention, right? So it's like following my hand upwards right here, and then like as you watch my hand go up or whatever, then I might take your watch off, take your wallet out of your pocket, whatever it is. But I have your attention up here. You're following this spotlight, and it's used against you sometimes. Inattentional blindness, not noticing some significant object in our field of vision. The best example I can give here is motorcycles on the road. When I'm driving, okay, and I'm about to switch lanes, right? I'm in the slow lane, somebody's going slower in front of me, and I slowly, I'm going to check my blind spot, I'm going to check my rearview mirror, boom, boom, blind spot, okay, here we go, and then I'm going to merge over into the fast lane and possibly pass this person. What was I looking for? I was looking for a car. That's what's there most of the time, so my brain is actually trained to look for cars. My brain doesn't necessarily register a motorcycle if it's even there. So I could look, boom, 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 all my mirrors, check my blind spot. There's a motorcycle there. I did see it, but I didn't pick it up because I wasn't looking for it. I wasn't focused on looking or finding a motorcycle. And that's what's so dangerous about driving motorcycles, right? Is that people are not looking for you. Motorcycles get cut off all the time on the road. So that's an example of inattentional blindness. Inattentional deafness, not noticing some significant noise in our field of hearing. I mean, watch a Netflix show, right? Or listen to music or whatever it is that you're doing, and you're focused on that, and then somebody else says something, you might not hear it. Now, when you're involved in a visual task, inattentional deafness usually happens, okay? And then whenever you're involved in like an auditory task, this could possibly happen, inattentional blindness. Change blindness is not noticing when something changes. We've actually talked about that before. It's hard to pick up if you're not looking for it. Okay, so change blindness is an interesting phenomenon in psychology. Okay. The perils of multitasking. Now, you can think that you're good at this, and you might be better than others, but you're not good at it. You are really good at single tasking as a human. To give all of your attention and focus to this one thing. A lot of high-level successful people block out hours at a time to focus on their work. So in doing that, they turn off their phones, right? They have a program possibly on their computer that actually blocks the ability to get to other distracting websites. Those things happen. So whenever you give your full attention to something, you actually do give your full attention to something, and boom, maybe you can get it done faster, maybe you can get it done better whenever you're not distracted by something. And some of you might be thinking, I like to listen to music whenever I do my work. Awesome. As long as the music isn't distracting to you and you're actually still focusing on the work, then you're not really multitasking there, okay? So multitasking, paying attention to 2 or more sources of stimuli at once, doing homework and watching TV. That's a tough one because it is grasping at your attention, right? This involves the division of attention. So when attention is divided among different tasks, each task receives less attention than it would normally. If you don't know that or you can't figure that out in your own mind, we have a problem, okay? Attention, when it is divided, things get less attention. You don't have limitless attention to give to something, okay? That's not how a human is built. There are different thresholds of multitasking for different people. You could be better at it than other people. No one has an infinite quantity of attention. I just said that. So tasks that are very different are less likely to interfere with each other. So driving a car, visual, and listening to a radio, audio, they're not necessarily going to hinder each other, okay? But once one of these requires more attention, and maybe you've understood this before, I know I have, the other does become a distraction. So here we are, we're getting to a place that we've never been to before, we're in a new neighborhood and we're trying to find the place, okay? Even if you have directions happening on Google Maps or whatever it is right in front of you. I've done this before, I've turned down the radio. If I have to parallel park, I turn down the radio so I can focus more on the visual task at hand, the visual physical task at hand. I can't be distracted by this auditory stimuli. I need more attention for my task at hand. So turning the volume down when you are in a new city or trying to parallel park. Absorption in a visual task equals inattentional deafness. Absorption in an auditory task, inattentional blindness. So, okay. Let's move on. We're going to start getting into sleep, right, which is a different state of consciousness. We have consciousness, which is being aware, and we have sleep, which is kind of far from being aware. All right? So, researchers have identified more than 100 other physical and psychological processes that rhythmically peak and dip at consistent times each day, including blood pressure, the secretion of different hormones, mental alertness, pain sensitivity. We'll talk about these times here in a second. Your circadian rhythm is that cycle. A cycle or rhythm that is roughly 24 hours long for a human, the cyclical daily fluctuations in biological and psychological processes, which are real, which can be messed up, right? Especially if for some reason, your light cues are messed up, right? If the sun didn't come up one day, yes, the world would be messed up. But also, your circadian rhythm would be super messed up as well. I mean, that's why people in Alaska, above the lower 48 states, right? There's a little hint of more depression up north because, of light cycles and circadian rhythm cycles and them being messed up. The suprachiasmatic nucleus, we've actually talked about this before, so in chapter 2. So a cluster of neurons in the hypothalamus in the brain that governs the timing of the circadian rhythm. It's important for your 24-hour cycle for your suprachiasmatic nucleus, which is actually inside of the hypothalamus, which governs your hormones and glands through the pituitary gland. You know, the hypothalamus is in control of hunger, thirst, and sexual drive. Okay, so that's happening. So your suprachiasmatic nucleus really has a huge effect on melatonin, right? A hormone manufactured by the pineal gland that produces sleepiness. You might have taken melatonin to fall asleep. You got to be careful doing that, though. Be careful taking too much melatonin because it tells your body to stop making it, and then you have to consistently get this outside source of melatonin, which could ruin your sleep cycles when you come off of it. Here's some examples of human circadian rhythms. So we have the peak mental alertness and memory, 2 daily peaks around 9 o'clock and 9 p.m. This is that argument for morning and night people, right? I'm a morning person. I'm on fire in the morning. I wake up like the world's on fire. I can get things done in the morning so much more than I can later in the day. I think I suffer from a little bit of mental fatigue, right? Decision fatigue throughout the day, because you make so many decisions throughout the day, then boom, you get home and you really can't do anything else. I'm more of a morning person, so a 9 a.m. type of guy. Lowest body temperature around 97 degrees around 4 a.m. in the morning, I guess we'll call it, but at night, right? Highest body temperature 99 degrees around 4 p.m. So if you're going to get your temperature taken and it happens to be 4 o'clock, then you're going to run high because you've been up. You've been up and active, and your body has been moving, and your brain has been working, and blood flow has been happening. And also it coincides with the hottest part of the day on Earth. Of course your body temperature is going to be a little bit high. Peak hearing, visual, taste, and smell sensitivity, 2 daily peaks. So one is around 3 a.m., which is interesting, right? Like, hearing, visual, taste, and smell sensitivity is up at 3 a.m. in the morning. Maybe that's why Taco Bell stays open 24 hours. And then 6 p.m., yes, right at dinner time, let's go. That one works out, doesn't it? Lowest sensitivity to pain around 4 p.m. Again, your body has desensitized throughout the day. So you have this thing that's happened to you. You've been alive. You've been in this world, right? Your feet have been touching the ground. Your body has been in the environment, and you have desensitized to the environment at that time, meaning the pain won't necessarily hurt as bad as it would at 4 a.m. when you're at your most vulnerable, right? You've been asleep. Your body is not acclimated to the environment. It actually doesn't even know the environment exists at 4 a.m. So, of course you're going to be more sensitive to pain at 4 a.m. You're not used to anything. You're actually in a different world, created your own world, right? Dreaming. Peak degree of sleepiness, 2 daily peaks, around 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. It's interesting, right? Again, 3 p.m. you can understand because you've been awake for a long time. You might have exerted some energy throughout the day, and then boom, here we are, 3 p.m. Oh, it's nap time. 5-hour Energy used to use this. Ever get that 2:30 feeling? That was their slogan. And they would show somebody just downing a 5-hour Energy, and they'd be, boom, here we go. College. A lot of 5-hour Energies in college for me in the mid, early 2000s. And then, obviously, 3 a.m. works a whole lot. Peak melatonin, okay? So peak melatonin hormone in blood between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. Yeah, you should be asleep. Melatonin should be coursing through your veins at that point. So, all right. We do have special photoreceptors in our eyes. So, photoreceptors in the retina, which we will cover in our next unit. We'll cover perception and sensation, and we'll go through each biological processes of gathering sensory stimuli, right? And that happens to be through the eyes, ears, tongue, smell, feeling, touch, right? And a couple other senses as well. So, special photoreceptors in the retina regulate the effects of light on the body's circadian rhythm. So in response to morning light, signals from these special photoreceptors are relayed via the optic nerve to the suprachiasmatic nucleus. So your optic nerve actually runs through it, so it crosses through the back of your middle part of your brain, right next to your hypothalamus, and has an effect, okay? So in turn, the suprachiasmatic nucleus reduces the pineal gland's production of melatonin, a hormone that causes sleepiness. This is why this whole blue light thing is happening, right? That's why your phone has night mode on it, because it takes away the blue light so it doesn't trick your eyes and your photoreceptors in the back of your retina to understand that, oh man, it's not nighttime and we shouldn't be going to sleep because there's blue light coming off of this device. It's a problem. It's a problem for the human right now, okay? So as blood levels of melatonin decrease, mental alertness increases, okay? So daily exposure to bright light, especially sunlight, helps keep the body's circadian rhythm synchronized and operating on a 24-hour schedule. 60% of blind people have bouts of insomnia and other sleep problems because of this, right? Because their photoreceptors and their optic nerve aren't really speaking to their hypothalamus to control hormone release in the rest of their body through the pituitary gland. Okay. Our intrinsic circadian rhythm. So it's about 24.2 hours or slightly longer than a day for a human. Your sleep-wake body temperature melatonin cycles are usually very closely coordinated. So at about 3 a.m. your body temperature dips to its lowest point just as melatonin is reaching its highest levels and you are at your sleepiest. So when deprived of all environmental time cues, the sleep-wake body temperature and melatonin circadian rhythms become desynchronized. All right, so they all become jumbled, they all become off, they're not happening at the same time, and they are no longer properly coordinated with one another. We, as humans, are usually entrained, right, to stay precisely synchronized via environmental time signals, which is an awesome thing. It really helps us survive. It helps us become emotionally stable. It helps us make better decisions when we're entrained. Sleep is unbelievably important. Maybe one of the most important things a human does. Okay, so if you don't value your sleep right now, I understand it. But